Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content that I'm making, please click that subscribe button. Also remember to click that bell button and make sure to tick that box to send all notifications so you don't miss out on any videos. With that in mind, let's get on with the video. What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. And in this video we're going to be concentrating on the latest lost chapter that we received, and this will concentrate on Prishe's lost chapter on hard mode of That Detestable Child Part 9. But before we do start, I would just like to apologize for a few things. And the first one is about Hero of the Week this week. I will try my best to get it edited and get it out as soon as I can. I think it won't be like tomorrow like it always releases. So it'll probably be the next day, hopefully. It is Father's Day here on Sunday, so maybe I will have enough time to actually edit everything out and release it to you guys before the next week. So here's fingers crossed that I actually get that job done. But the main reason why I'm apologizing is because this video that I am showing you guys right now was actually cut short. So I was recording this while I was at work, and I was, recording the fight, and everything was going okay, and I've done my work pretty much and was just waiting for the end of my shift. And well, things happened, and what I did was I closed my phone straight away and went to whatever I needed to do, and for some reason that cut off the recording as well. And then it happened a second time while I was fighting, I think I was fighting the behemoth at that time, and it cut the recording again, and I lost my footage. Basically it only recorded like the first 4 seconds of it. So luckily the third time I actually had to close my phone again while I was in the middle of this fight was during the Chimera, and pretty much I lost connection because my phone was off for a little while. It was locked, and when I went back to reopen Dissidia Final Fantasy, at least it gave me the option to return back into the fight. Granted, I had to restart the whole entire fight in the Chimera, but I think that's much better than losing everything. So I have managed to re-record all of the Chimera fight, which is nice. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm really sorry it's not the whole video, but I will still try my best to give you guys wave by wave tips. But before we actually go through that, let's give you guys some general tips and guide for this fight. Okay, so my first tip for you guys is to definitely save half of your abilities for the last wave. And this is because obviously it is the last boss, and the boss actually has a ton of HP. So save about half of your abilities for each character, and make sure that you will be able to break the boss if you do plan on getting broken quite a lot. But you shouldn't really try to aim for that. And yeah, as for the boosted characters, obviously you can bring Prishe. I think is the best one out of the three, really. Y'shtola is one of the other boosted characters, and King is also one of them. As for my third tip for you guys is to actually take advantage of the boss's multiple weaknesses to different elementals. Now depending on which head is glowing or whatever, he does have different weaknesses. And Vaughn is actually one of the characters that takes advantage of this, since most of his abilities actually cover the elemental weaknesses of the boss. My fourth tip for you guys is to bring in healers and buffers. and they are always welcome because of the high chance of taking HP damage during the early waves. And if you're bringing Ifrit as well, obviously you want to have your HP to max to take advantage of that 20% attack. Now my fifth tip for you guys is to actually be careful in bringing the buffers, because the boss's buffs are not removable by adding more debuffs. Although I haven't tested if Vanille can actually dispels them, but for my testing, and you know, it's not really gonna work out if you add more debuffs. It'll just cancel out and you'll be ended up with 2 debuffs in total. Now as for the summon, I do recommend you bringing Ifrit, because I feel like it is the best summon, because you do get that extra 20% attack, plus you can take advantage of the boss's first weakness. Now he will always have a weakness to fire at the start of the fight, and you can take advantage of that. And finally, as for the suggested characters that I have for you guys that are not boosted, like I said earlier on, Vaughn is pretty good. You always have your healers, the buffers, your buffers and your battery as well, brave batteries as well. Of course, you have Saz, is pretty much the god in this game at the moment. Vincent is actually pretty good, even though the buffers aren't that welcome. You can still use like live wire to take advantage of the attack down too, so you don't get broken pretty much. And the other characters that I've suggested here takes pretty much advantage of the boss's weaknesses. So and I really, as long as you max limit break a character, you should be able to do pretty well. And for the most part, you don't even need to max limit break every single weapon to be able to defeat this fight or to finish this fight. But it certainly helps that you do bring in like your strongest characters. But these are just my suggestions, and obviously some people will say, oh, you can bring this character, you can bring that character, and they have the right of it. And these are just my suggestions to you guys for the most part, if you want to take advantage of the boss's weaknesses. And I think that's it for the general tips and guides. Let's take a look at this fight wave by wave. So in the first wave, you're going to be taking down 2 ice bombs and a skeleton. Now this isn't actually a pretty hard wave, although since you are starting, you still need to set up a lot of your buffs. As you guys can see, I'm actually rocking Lightning, Aiko, and Vincent, and my support that I picked is Papalimo. This isn't exactly the best, I suppose, party to make for this fight, but this party has been my tried and true, so I just went ahead with my tried and true party synergy. And I really like the synergy between Vincent and Lightning, and I like the idea of actually using live wire to reduce the amount of brave damage that I'm going to be taking. So pretty much here is pretty easy. Like I said, you can use your abilities here, but you have to remember to try and save as much of your abilities as you can. Unfortunately, the skeletons here actually have a lot of HP, so you probably need to have 2 HP attacks on them. In the second wave, you're going to be fighting 3 dark skeletons. I don't know what I was saying. I was calling them just skeletons, but they are dark skeletons. So again, here, if you break them, they'll pretty much fall down to the ground, and you'll have a lot more turns to actually take advantage of them. And again, this is pretty stock standard, and I can't believe Aiko missed that smite. I was really pissed off at that one, but hey, what can you do? Anyway, let's skip this and go to the third wave. So in the third wave, we're gonna be fighting a level 75 behemoth. There's really nothing to say here because pretty much we've covered behemoth left and right on this channel, and I don't really want to go through much, too much onto it. But The main thing to remember here is it does buff itself, and when it does the all attack, it's gonna go for a lightning lash, so you just make sure you have enough brave for that. Just be careful here. As for the fourth wave, that is actually the missing footage, but you are going to be fighting some Magitek armors, which is pretty much easy. There's only 2 of them. Just break it and they'll fall down to the ground and just do your HP attack. Probably don't even use any of your abilities there. And finally, for the last wave, you're going to have to take down the Chimera Golem. Now, for the weaknesses and resistances, I didn't list it on this one, but you will see that it does actually have weaknesses once I cover all the heads. So the first ability that the Chimera Golem has is called Back Kick, which is the melee HP attack. It has an ability called Shift Change, which transforms his, I suppose, head from goat to lion and then to dragon. So you just have to keep track on that, because it will depend on what head is glowing in order for you to find out what the weaknesses are. He also has Quick Shift, which is, it grants itself Quick Shift to itself, which performs shift change every turn. And it has access to Tough Skin as well, which grants itself a defense up to itself, and this turns into Body of Steel from level 70. And this actually doesn't have any turn rate, so you just have to be careful, and it will pretty much click, I do believe, at a certain point. I believe half HP, that's where about it starts. And then finally it has an ability called Speed's Calling, which grants itself a speed off to itself, and again this turns to Heaven's Cry from level 70 upwards. So you basically, it's Heaven's Cry and Body of Steel. That's it. And this requires no turn rate as well, and this will pop up around below half HP, I believe. And now let's cover the actual heads of the Chimera, which will add itself some new abilities. So the first one is the goat head, which makes him weak to fire, but this gives him an access to the abilities called Rockfall, which is an earth brave magic attack. And it will also have access to Grand Horn or Crushing Blow, which is an earth brave magic attack, and it also inflicts defense down. The next head it has is the Lion's Head, which makes him weak to wind type attacks, and he will have access to Gaia Strike, which is a melee earth brave attack, and Gaia Smash or Gaia Crush, which is an earth brave magic attack. And finally, the last head, which is the Dragon's Head, will make him weak to holy attacks, but he will gain access to Sand Strike, which is a lesser earth brave magic attack, Sand Breath, which is a group earth brave magic attack, and Sandstorm, which is a group earth brave magic attack plus an HP attack. So we're finally really at the end of this video, and I just want to state a couple more things that I have forgotten to mention earlier on my general tips and guides. And one of the things that I forgot to say is to be careful of the Dragon Head. And I say this because it has the ability Sandstorm, and the Sandstorm ability, which is the group Earth Brave magic attack plus an HP attack, is quite dangerous. And this is probably where you're going to be taking a lot of your HP damage. That's why I do recommend bringing like a healer. Aiko is plenty enough good here. You can definitely bring in Penelo or Aerith. Aerith has a more bulk healing, and you can definitely use that to your advantage. But I feel like Aiko is plenty strong enough for the fight. Of course, you can take advantage of being back in full health as quick as possible. When you have Ifrit, you can take advantage of that. But otherwise, I feel like this fight is just a, I would say, tenacity. You need a lot of tenacity for this fight. And because of the amount of HP the boss actually has. And as you guys can see, my party isn't actually the end all be all of parties. This setup that I have, which is Lightning, Aiko, and Vincent, is just the party that I have a lot of faith in. And I wanted to see if it's my faith in this trio actually, you know, will be able to beat this fight. And sure enough, it did. There are some bumpy roads, but definitely it is quite possible to beat this fight without bringing all the best characters. I mean, Lightning is probably one of the best characters right now, but there are new characters such as Kane, who has a high amount of DPS over Lightning, and you know, Vaughn is one of those ones as well. So I didn't bring the optimal or the optimized party group, and even bringing Saz would have made this fight a lot easier. So this video is just to show you guys that it is quite possible. I may not do this anymore. I might actually use Saz, even though my Saz is not max limit break on any of my his weapons. I will still probably bring him because of the buffs for Saz is just way strong. So I feel like I just wanted to show you guys that it is quite possible to beat this fight without actually bringing Saz or Kane, and in the near future Kuja as well. So yeah, I think I'll end the video right here. Remember to click like, subscribe, and share this video if you find it helpful at all. As always, I'd like to hear from you guys what you think of this fight, and which party members did you pick for this fight. I'd like to know all of that. And if you think I missed anything in my tips or guides, or if you have things that you want to add, please leave them down in the comments below. And make sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter at Munchkins Gaming. This is Munchkins logging off, and I'll see you guys in the next level.